Hello and thank you for joining me today. My name is Sarah and I make videos about decluttering, organizing, and simple living. Today's video is my final attic transformation video. This has been months in the making, and as you can see, as my pregnant belly has grown over the months, that this has been a very long process. This was not like a weekend project. This was a slow and steady process. Taking my time, not trying to rush. I'm not trying to be perfect. I like things to be matchy-matchy, organized and labeled, but for this kind of a major project, that was not the goal. The goal was to clear out the years and years of things that had been accumulating, and just because we had the space doesn't mean we needed to keep all the things. So the goal was to make the space overall much more accessible and functional, and so now it is easier to find the things that we do use on a seasonal basis. And I also created an office space up here for myself as well. It was really important to me to do this project without spending extra money, if at all necessary. I mean, of course, in the future we would love to finish off the rest of the attic, but that's not really in the budget at the moment. So the goal was to just make it more functional and reusing and repurposing the items that we already had. When I started this whole project back in February, it was like almost impossible to even get up here, because I would come up to the top of the stairs and I would just set things there because it was cold in the winter time. So I wouldn't want to actually come all the way up and put things away, so they just accumulated. So when we moved into this house 8 years ago, this was a project that was never really done, and I've always started and stopped over the years as well, and it would become a mess again. It would get cleared out for a little while, and then it would become a mess again. So I knew there was obviously still too much extra clutter, because you can't organize clutter, right? So there was still too much stuff, and that's why it kept getting unorganized and kept spreading and everywhere. So this time I had you guys to cheer me on and help keep me accountable. So I started in one section and I focused all my effort and energy on one area at a time, working around the room and just doing what I could. I wasn't trying to push myself, because you get decision fatigue and then you don't know what to do, and then you get stuck, right? So I did chunks as I had time, and when I felt like I got to a stopping point where I just couldn't do any more for the day, I called it for the day. So the first area that I worked on was the finished closet section, which was overflowing with kids' clothes and shoes and lots of things from my childhood as well, because my mom had kept all of my baby clothes and they had pretty much disintegrated over time. So I felt guilty about getting rid of them, but the material was terrible and they were falling apart, and really nobody would be able to use them or would want to use them. So I cleared out a lot of that stuff. I was able to donate and resell to consignment shops clothes that were my girls. And I had kept stuff for a while because I knew that I was pregnant, but I didn't know if we were going to have another girl or if it was going to be a boy this time. We have 2 girls, ages 8 and 10, so I was holding on to some smaller stuff. Once I found out we were going to be having a boy, then I went a little bit further and I was more okay with getting rid of a lot of that smaller stuff, and I passed along a lot of it to family members as well that could reuse it too. The stairs have always been an issue. I always just open the stairs and I set stuff there. So that was my first little win, was to clear off the stairs, and then my goal was to keep them clear as much as possible. And then there's the landing to the left at the top of the stairs, which is a small area. So I worked on that and got rid of a bunch of stuff because that's kind of like a holding area where I would set things that I was going to donate, or it was going to go somewhere, but it was like in limbo. So I've been trying to not keep things there and then just get them where they need to go instead of waiting, if at all possible. So when I have things to pass along to our little cousin, I make a trip over and I drop them on her porch and say, here you go, here's your next batch of clothes. And I've been better about having my husband take down big boxes for me and because I was just like holding them here, and they were taking up a ton of space. So now that the weather has been nice, we've been able to get a lot of donations out, filling as many boxes as possible. It was a little bit harder in the winter time to do that stuff because our donation center is not close by, but I've been taking advantage of the nice weather, and he's been lifting and lugging all of the big things for me, and we've been getting them out as soon as possible instead of letting them sit around for months and months. The middle finished area is where I wanted to create my office, because my office was downstairs in one of the bedrooms, but all the bedrooms are going to be used now because of the new baby. So I moved all my office stuff up here. So it was a lot of work to get this area opened up. Just tons of miscellaneous things. So it took a long time to work through and kind of, clear more and more floor space as I went. This area is also where things would sit and stay for months. But I'm trying to not do that anymore, and I shouldn't have to do that anymore. I think I have gotten all of the large donations and the majority of the donations out. I mean, obviously that's not perfect. There will still be stuff to go over time, as I live with it this way, and as each season passes, I'll see what we use and what we don't use, and then the donations will continue to go out. And I will be much more careful about what is kept and stored up in this area. I still do have a lot of childhood toys, but I am hanging onto those for the girls too, because every now and then we rotate toys and they get in the mood to play with something different. So we bring them downstairs and then we rotate and we bring something else up here. And we don't have everything in the playroom all at once because it is overwhelming and it's too much for them. And even though they are getting older, you just never know, because my oldest is 10 and she's getting a kick to get back into Barbies again. And for the longest time she said, oh, I'm over it. But now she's kind of like, I really do want to play with those, So we have the space and they are all together in one area. And like I had mentioned in previous videos, if you take a look back at this video here, you will see me working through a lot of childhood toys from the late 80s and early 90s. I don't want to just chuck them, and I know it's partly sentimental and nostalgia and all that, but if they are able to get some more love and joy out of them, then I want to do that first before I pass them on to somebody else. I have been getting tons of baby gear, large items given to us, passed on from others. So there is extra things in this area like an exerciser and a jumperoo, and in the other room I have a high chair and a bathtub and car seats, and babies have lots of big things. So thankfully, now that the area is cleared out, I have room to store this stuff until it is time for the baby to use them. Baby will be coming in a few weeks, and so now we have the items that we need, and we were very grateful to have a lot of these given to us from friends and family. So there are extra things about that normally wouldn't be here, but that's okay. I realize we still have an excessive amount of Christmas things. It's my favorite holiday to decorate the house for, and the Halloween stuff is my husband's favorite holiday to decorate. He likes to make and build a lot of his own Halloween decorations, and he even makes his own costumes and stuff. So we have the Christmas stuff in one section and the Halloween stuff in another section, and it's manageable for me. It's not overwhelming. So, after the holiday passes, if there's something that we don't use, then I will definitely donate that. But as of right now, these are things that we do normally use every year. And like I said, the process is always ongoing, and I will continue to reevaluate as the time comes. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. I hope you got some inspiration and some motivation to tackle a tough project. And like I said, this took months for me to work on. So don't expect, miracles overnight, right? And is it perfect? No, definitely not. And like I said, it's a mix match of things that we already had that we just repurposed. So no, not everything is matching and coordinating and labeled beautifully, but I'm calling this a success because it is definitely major progress. It is not perfection, but it is a major win for me to get to this point. After all these years, finally, the attic is good. It functions well. I'm able to find everything I need, and it's not full of extra stuff that's just sitting around. And I couldn't be happier. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.